Common bike problem number 5, while we're talking about nutrition, Kurt, is losing your nutrition. Or maybe you're rolling up to an aid station on the bike. This is a common one. It can be crowded. You're on the move. Volunteers are trying to hand you stuff. And maybe you just don't grab what you're trying to grab. And then all of a sudden you've exited the aid station. You didn't get the aid that you were counting on getting. So if we're out on the bike, it's race day. We either drop a bottle or misplace a gel, fishing a gel out of our pocket, we drop it. If we find ourselves without the aid we're counting on, hydration or nutrition, what do we do?
This one is really, really tough. They're all tough, but this one in particular, because I think when you look at any race where you feel like, we ask the question, let's talk about success. How would you define that? And I think I always come back to two big overarching themes: your pacing and your nutrition. Always do your best to make sure that as you're planning your nutrition, that you've got plan A, you've got plan B, and plan C. So I'll kind of talk through our listeners, a couple different scenarios. Let's say plan A, you're good to go. You've got all your nutrition kind of on your bike. You've got it in your down tube and your bottle. You've got it maybe on your handlebars. You're going to put things in your kit, so you're good to go there, and that should not be a problem. However, it happens all the time with pros, age groupers, all over the board. All of a sudden, you hit this bump, and boom, that bottle flies off, and all of literally your refrigerator was right there, and it just went out the window. So what do you need to do? Okay, well, that is going out the window. I know that I'm going to need 200 calories per hour. I know I'm going to use some salt. So you've got to kind of make those adjustments to say, okay, those aid stations now are definitely aid stations. And you've got to go a lot slower to say, I need to retool. Try to use, again, your head and be very intuitive, like, what am I going to need? And I know that if you pulled up to an aid station, even if you needed to get off your bike to make sure that you can get gels,
Yeah.
get anything you need. It's not perfect, but you've got to adapt. It's like I ordered steak and there's no steak, but I'm going to have something else on the menu. That's going to be just fine. So that would be the first thing that I would really recommend to people that you need to do. The other thing too is I found through the years is you kind of underestimate what you're going to need. And this could be a reality. And Andrew, again, you were at that race with John Mayfield. It was Coeur d'Alene, and I think that day it was hitting like 102.
It's very
And
hot. Very
and I
hot
think
day.
I was having a conversation at the start, and the conversation, well, it doesn't seem too hot right now. And I'm like, you're absolutely correct, because it's 5 o'clock in the morning. We'll come back to this at 11. So I had planned out my nutrition to the point where I was using, the electrolytes, I was using my nutrition, I thought I was good to go. When I started that second lap, I looked at my bike computer like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" My heart rate was actually matching my power. So instead
Wow.
of having a heart rate of 120 and my power's at 170 in watts, it was like 120, 125, and I'm digging into my little electrolyte kit, and guess what? There's no more. So here
Wow.
I am, so embarrassed. It's like, "Can you put a sack on my head?" Because, like, I'm a novice now. I'm supposed to be a coach. I'm supposed to be someone that is knowledgeable.
I'm on a
I've got my reps
podcast.
done, and I'm on a podcast, but I'm now asking people, "How's your day going?" They're going, "Great." And I said, "Cool. Oh, you're cramping. Excellent. You know what? I'm thinking, do you have any extra salt?" So sometimes when you're out there, you need to do that just like we would do that to others. If you can, give someone else. So I literally had to pivot, hoping and praying I could find another person. So I was leaning on athletes, which is so embarrassing, but we're family, so we can talk openly. That if it wasn't for their support, and I knew because it kept getting hotter and hotter, I'm like, nothing good's going to happen out here. I've got to get off this bike course because now I get to run the marathon, when it's like 102
Yay. What a sport.
degrees.
What a sport.
What a sport. So I know that it's just something that you learn from your mistakes, and I would tell everyone is to make sure you're bringing more than enough. Another thing too, 2 other things that I know that can and will happen. It's unfortunate, but I've learned that don't put everything on your bike the day before. In other words, when you're putting your nutrition on your bike, do it on the morning of, because I've had athletes tell me they made that mistake. They had everything on the bike the day before. They didn't check it before they got on the bike. And Andrew, right to your point, the timer goes off. They open that little Boda bag, and guess what? Everything is gone. And then they lose it. It's like, oh, wait a minute, all my nutrition's gone. Now I've got to go ahead and pivot. So That's something that I've learned that is really, really key. The other thing too is personal needs. Make sure you have extra stuff because I know that kind of at the halfway point that's another thing. So if you can say, okay, I lost my nutrition, but at my personal needs bag, I can get more. And I've learned sometimes in the excitement, they'll just throw the bag. I had this at Texas. I didn't quite get all my nutrition. I got some of it, so I had to adapt. But stop there, reload, because now you're like, oh my gosh, I got another parachute on my back. So utilize all those resources out on the bike.
Yeah, there was a year I was watching the Kona race from home. I wasn't in Kona this particular
Mhm,
year, and there was a couple years there in a row where in the female race, it basically every single year became a battle between Lucy Charles Barclay and Daniela Reef,
mhm,
right? And Lucy Charles Barclay was always in the lead because she was such a strong swimmer, and Daniela was trying to chase her down. And in one of those years, in the footage, Lucy is making the U turn at Javi, and there's an aid station right there after that U turn,
mhm.
and she went to get a bottle and put it in her behind the saddle bottle cage and dropped it. It lands on the ground. The camera from the helicopter sees the whole thing happen. You see her look back, and she keeps rolling. And so they're discussing, on the coverage for the next 10 miles, like, is Lucy going to regret not going back for that bottle? And whether it was because of that or not, that particular year, Daniela passed her. Daniela won. Lucy was the runner up. I would say, Kurt, for our age groupers listening, whether you're at the pointy end, competitive end of the spectrum or not, I would say probably for every single age grouper, it is worth stopping, getting that bottle, getting that gel, getting that electrolyte tablet, making sure, particularly for middle distance and full distance. If you're doing a sprint or Olympic, okay, keep on rolling. You didn't get that water, so what? But the longer you're going, the more vital those things are. So make sure you're getting what you need. And also, Kurt, I think you would agree with this as well. Look at the course map. Usually, the course map for your race, whether it's an Ironman event or a local event, they will usually kind of point out here's where the aid stations are. You can kind of see
Mhm.
how far apart they are. Sometimes there's a lot of them. Sometimes there's a few of them. But if there are only a few of them, add some bottle cages to your bike. Add some nutrition. More. Take more than you think you might need if it's a little sparser on that. Um,
To that point, Andrew, I totally agree. I think that if you miss an aid station, it's better to stop. Again, swallow your pride, circle back around and do what you need to do. Because if you're on the average 30 to 40 minutes, you've got to think about road surface, you've got to think about temperature, you've got to think about wind. Your heart rate is going to definitely elevate if you're dehydrated or your caloric needs are at a deficit. So it's better to slow things down. It's only 2 or 3 minutes, but you're much better off as the race progresses because we need to run after the bike.
yeah.